My name's Toby Anderson. I'm a Ruby on Rails developer, and this is Ruby in the Rough. Now, I've had an epiphany because Ruby on Rails is a great framework, very strong in backend and server-side and database stuff. But I've recently been reading up on Angular, which is a completely different JavaScript framework, which is really strong in the front end, sort of client side and the user interface. So it doesn't really do much in the way of database handling, not natively, and Rails doesn't do great. It does front end, but not in a very great way like Angular does. It's more takes you back to the PHP days, and gives a passing nod to Ajax, but not much more than that. So it's strong in the back end, Angular strong in the front end. With these two powers combined, we could get something really good. I don't know why I don't see more of this online, people using Angular and Rails together. Yes, I know why, because when Rails went out of fashion, when Node.js came in, and developers decided they could do the whole stack with one language, and why learn another language? So everything is done in JavaScript these days, so that's why people don't use Rails and Angular together. But I think they should, and I will. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to develop an application with Angular and Rails, and a Wrangular application, and it's going to be very simple. And I'm going to do it. And now I'm a Rails developer, but I've never ever used Angular before, or any sort of JavaScript frameworks as such. So that's going to be new for me, and we're going to struggle through that together. And so if you already know Angular and stuff, so I'm going to apologize. I'm going to be very slow on that part, but I'll be hopefully okay in the Rails part. What are we making? We're making a very simple thing. It's going to be something where it records how much work you're doing, how much time you're spending in work. So it'll be a button where you click it when you start working, and then you click it again when you stop working. It's like a clock in, clock off little app, and it'll keep a history of how much time you've spent working. And it'll be a web app, so we can access it from anywhere. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use Rails 5 has a feature where you can create an API only app. So we'll make a Rails 5 API app to do the backend. And then for the front end we'll do Angular, and it'll be a separate application and completely modular, so that we can put any other front end in we like. We can make a little phone app to be the front end, or make a native Linux app. I'm not going to make an app or Windows app because I just don't like those platforms. I just like Linux. Sorry about that. App on Windows users. I do like you. It's just your software I don't like. Okay. But we're going to do an Angular one. We're going to do Angular. So let's do that. So first, let's do the Rails side of things. So I'm going to say Rails new, and it's going to, what is it going to be called? It'll be called. Wait, I'm going to go into okay, Rails new. It's going to be called clock it, and it's going to be an API app like this. Do that. So that we're making that Rails application. So as you can see, we're working from scratch. Having started with nothing, we're going to do all this, and you're going to see me try and work it out as I go. I don't know how I'm going to do it. I'm just going to do it. and that's Ruby in the rough. And so we're waiting for this to finish. And I don't know how long it's going to take. I don't know how many videos perhaps it might be. I don't know how long we have to wait for this generator to finish generating files. And maybe you don't want to watch that, so I'm going to pause it. So that is done. And now let's use an IDE. So I've got Ruby mine. Let's get to file. Open it. Clock it. Okay. Let's close this one. Here we have a thing. It's indexing. I'm going to move myself up a bit because I need to use stuff down here. Okay, so happily Rails comes with Git already in there. Let's see what we've got our gem file. Here's our Git ignore. Okay. So okay, and yep. Okay, I'm not going to make any branches yet. We'll. Okay, so we got our app. Okay, let's run it. Let's run it. Run development. Okay. What on earth? No. Don't ask this again. Okay. There it goes. Let's go to a browser and find well, we just click on here. Oh, okay, it's listening. It's listening on TCP. That's right, because it's an API application, so we don't have. I'm not going to look at it in a browser. Okay. So let's then just see what we've got in here. If we've got anything in here, we've got application record. What is that? So now I haven't used Rails 5 before, and I've used Rails 4.2, and I haven't used an API only application. But that is interesting. So none of these files are in the. None of these files are in the added to Git yet, I think. So we want to do an initial commit. Let me just remind myself how that's done. Hang on. Here's instructions on that. Git init. So yeah, I don't start new projects every day, so let's do that. Git init. Oh, I probably already initted. Probably the IDE might have done that. And then we add everything, and then we commit. How about I use the IDE to commit? let me see what's being committed. So this, we don't want. This idea is the IDE stuff, right? Yeah, look, we don't want to commit this in our repository. Let each person use their own IDE, I say. Not have that in there. Everything under app we want to commit. What is this bin stuff? I don't think so. Do we commit this? Oh yeah, bundle? What's in here? Bundle. Oh yeah, okay. Oh yeah, we probably want that. Config, yeah, we want that. Initializers, we want that. Locales, yeah, okay. Database, yeah, okay, yeah. I don't know what these things are. What is this? Empty file. Okay, don't worry, get robots, yeah, okay, tests, yep. And temp. I don't think we should be committing temp. Vendor, yes. Okay, yes, yes. Yes, 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 yes. Initial commit. Committed. Look, you. Git. To ignore. Okay. Good, yes, thank you for that. All log files and temp files. Oh, I already have that in there. Okay, whatever. Okay. Good, okay. So, we should put it in GitHub, but maybe I'll do that later. Okay, so we need to make a model. Hang on. As you might have guessed, it is a new day for me, though it's the same video for you. I'm sorry if... Yeah, I just need to check if the microphone... Is it... Let me put it up a bit. What we're going to do is add a model into our Rails thing, and it's going to be a model to represent a period of time worked. So each row in the table will be representing one period of time. So the model is just going to have two attributes, the start and the end time. So let's make that. I'm going to use the Rails generator for making a new model, because that just generates some of the boilerplate. So I'm going to call it period. It's going to have a start, which is going to be a date time, and it's going to have an end, which is also going to be date time. Now, some of the boilerplate that is made is the test files. It's made some fixtures. Now, I'm going to go with just the built-in Rails testing frameworks. I'm not going to add RSpec or Factory Girl or anything like that. I'm just going to go with what the Rails kind of recommends by building it in. let's make the start date later than the end date later than the start date in these. Something like that. Okay. And let's do the test. So we're going to do a bit of test-driven development, TDD, which means we write the test first. Okay, test the test. So one thing we want this to do is to not be valid if it doesn't have a start date. Must have start date. Start. So start. So I'm going to take the first fixture like that, and I'm going to remove the start date. And I'm going to assert not true, assert not. I must say I'm more used to using spec style syntax than this, so that's why I'm working out. Let's go assert not period. So I'm saying it's not valid when it doesn't have a start date. So I'm just gonna, okay, first of all I need to, before the test will run, we can try running the test and I'll show you when run the test. It'll tell me that I haven't got, the migration hasn't happened yet, because I've got a migration which I haven't migrated. So let's migrate. Let's add it to Git. So in this IDE I use Control-Alt-A to add something to Git like that. It goes green like that. And I'll migrate this. Oops. Stop. Migrate. Okay. Now I'll put this in Git. I'll put this test in, and I'll run the test. Look at my face. It's just. Okay. And it failed, which is what it's supposed to do because we haven't coded that yet. Yep, that's failure I expected. Good. So now what we do is in the model we say we need to have a validates start. So I need this, and presence must be there. Okay. Now that should be enough to pass the test. I'll run the test again. Indeed it is. But whenever I put a validation of something like this into a model, I always want to make that reflected in the database itself, because we should be able to have data integrity at the lowest level of the database. I'm much more comfortable with that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll back roll back that migration and put the I don't want fatal bulls, I want false for null. Okay. Now I'm not doing the same for end, because when the period is still going on, then it shouldn't have an end date. That should be, so in fact I'll actually make that explicit here as well, so we know we're not just forgetting something, but explicitly that is the case. So I need to now migrate that again. Yep. And the test should still pass. This is the annoying thing about making these videos. Okay. So there we have our model. Next we need to have, now I'm very disappointed with this is JetBrains, IDE, and they do great IDEs, but look at this, it doesn't know about that. It doesn't know about getting a so Ruby on Rails has a lot of magic in it, and the IDE, and it says it can't find this method because it doesn't exist, and that's fine because there's lots of methods that don't exist, and they go through things like method missing happens, and it works out what to do. In this case, this is how we get a fixture, but the IDE doesn't know that. JetBrains, you could fix that. So now we need to make it a controller. Okay, so let's add a controller. Periods controller. So the way you usually do this is using the plural for controller names, singular for model names, plural for database table name. If you know all that, then you're okay. What am I doing? Actions. So what actions needs this controller need to have? Well, we need to be able to create a new period, and we need to be able to update a period with the end time. Let's just go update. And we need to be able to get all the periods that are, I think, okay, let's go with that. Okay, add that to Git. This one not added to Git. Added to Git. Okay, so, and the root. Let's see. Do we? So we need the roots for these as well. Okay, oh, here they are. Thanks for that. Let's just say resource, how does it work? Resource period. Only create index update. These have got to be, sorry, like this. Okay. Let's check that the great. So we have patch for updating, put for and post for both for creating, and we should have a get. Index, that's one, isn't it? There should be a get for the index, right? Index, is that the right word? Index. What am I missing? Get periods, yeah, that one. Patch, put, delete, post, that's for creating new. Delete. Oh, because this is a API only. This is an API only. It's probably because it's an API only thing. Because it looks like there's roots missing. So I'll have to add them in. Something like this, index. As on, is that right? On collection or something. There's a way to add member do collection do, or on collection. That's what I'm doing. Get Okay, so I've got to use a string here. Oh, I've got to use the get index on collection. That's what I need to do. Okay. There it is. Okay. Okay. Now we need to put that functionality in. Hang on a minute. Let's start by putting the tests in. So let's yeah. Okay, this one should pass straight away. I think. No. Okay. Okay, make sure we name that root. Oops. Let's try naming it again. Sometimes a bit too much magic. Index periods. Okay, that'll do. Okay. Okay. Okay, so what we want is the JSON okay. How do we get the JSON? Stack Overflow says response JSON replies. Okay, great. Let's use that. And we want to see what it looks like, because it should have our two fixtures in it. Oh, great. What I want to do is say it body yeah, let's say we've got 2 fixtures in there. Let's just say that. Okay. Okay, error. JSON text must... Anyway, we haven't passed any JSON. So I think that's the problem, because we haven't made it yet. We're looking at index. Respond to how about we just say I've forgotten how to do this sort of thing. JSON action. Render JSON. That's what we do. This is more complicated than I'm looking for. Probably want to just go to the Rails guide on this. Oh, this is exactly what I need to do. Periods. Bam. Okay. Let's run that test again. Okay. Okay, I think that we just need to do this. See, the API Rails is slimmed down a bit. How about we try it like this? Okay. Okay. If you're particularly observant, you've noticed that some time has passed for me. I've actually had a haircut, and for special information is that I've actually got one less toenail than I had when I started this video. So that's interesting. I had to have a toenail removed. And if you're very observant, you will have noticed exactly how much time has passed for me by looking at my computer clock. It's quite a few weeks even. But I continue with this video. In the meantime, I've actually not been doing any research or working on this particular project, so that you don't miss out on any of that exciting stuff. But I have discovered there's an app called Toggle, which does a really good job of doing what we're aiming for here, so that really reduces my motivation. But I'm not just trying to get this for the sake of having the app, but for learning, particularly learning Angular, and learning how to make it fit with a Rails 5 API app, and to make this video for you. So we'll keep going. Now I just looked at where we're up to, and I realized this error, which I thought was something to do with the parsing to making the JSON, is actually nothing to do with that at all, because it's actually coming from this line here. Because frankly, we have this. What is this? This is not even part of anything. This 1 and this 2. The fixtures have that. Where's the fixtures? Here. That's what I was thinking about. But this gets converted to an integer to make the ID of the. It doesn't keep it as a string or a symbol. So let's just change the test there, where we could, this one. Let's just say that we've got something in the first spot and something in the second spot. Okay. I don't know what the IDs are going to be for these things, but we'll just see if that works. And guess what? That's passed. So we passed that test. So we've got our index action in our controller. We need to make a create an update action. So the create action should create a new period, and I imagine it gets passed one parameter, which is the start time. Okay, let's do this. Test should create a period. So we want to use post. Something like this. Let's just see if we get this should go right. No. Sorry, okay. Let's try that again. Okay, so what we want to do is pass in a start time. How do I do that? What do I call that? Params? Let's control this. Let's go straight to Stack Overflow. Scrolling through the docs, it's quicker. You just have to do it like that. Okay. Okay, so the period start. Okay, so it's going to be, it has to be a string. The parameter is going to come as a string. So let's just say I don't know how it's going to be formatted, but let's just say I do that. So just make that a string, okay. Now there's a way you can measure an increase in there's a way that you can measure increase. I should add an increase of 1 in the number of records. Set difference, yeah, that's what I'm looking for. I knew there was something like that. Set difference. Right. Let's not bother with checking the response. Something like that. Great. So I'll run this. Oh, that's a string. Oh, oh, it's a string there. Okay. Okay, expression. Okay, fair enough, fair enough. That's how it works. That's how it works. Yeah. Yeah, indeed. Let's just do it like this. Oops. This. Okay, so that's not working. Oh, I don't need to use you. I just go to create. That's what I need to do. Create. Okay. Get back down to how it was. Okay. That's not a keyword. That is a symbol. I don't know what you are saying it's a keyword for. Let's just be explicit about this. Okay. Does it actually... Let's just try this. And we got this again. What am I doing wrong? I'm not doing this. Look at this. This is out of date. This is deprecated. I thought. Anyway. I think I need to specify that this is a params or something like that. Body, that's the one. Let's just put it as I like to use it, this syntax. Let's do that. And run the test. Unknown keyword body. So 2009, that's a bit old. But surely they wouldn't mess too much with that. Given two number of arguments. How can you expect only one argument with a post? What, like, surely we gotta have some way to pass in the parameters. Let's just try this with this. Okay. Keyword format. See, everyone's using RSpec except me. See, I'm just doing what the docs tell me, right? Params. Articles URL. Okay, let's do that. Try that again. Period. Sorry. Format. Okay, let's not use that. Try again. Yes. So that's how I'm supposed to do it. Params. Actually, I could have guessed that. What if I do this? No, doesn't like it. Okay, finally got the test. When you're doing testing, sometimes it uses up a lot of time. And that's especially true if you're not used to testing. And you have to work out all this with syntax, not properly documented. Or maybe it is, but some kind of documentation. And that means you are less motivated to test, less likely to test, and then you get to write the tests, and then you So you don't, and then you don't. You're not good at writing tests. So it's just a vicious circle that I am deeply in. But I'm making a video so that you watch me. This is like pair programming, where I'm the programmer and you're all the person looking at my shoulder, which makes me do the right thing even though it's painful. What we need to do is use what Rails calls strong parameters. And I think I put that under private. And I say period params. Define that. And I say, I take the parameters and I say you have to be in the period so if you don't know, what we're trying to do here is filter the parameters properly so that if somebody black hat guy comes and tries to send whatever weird parameters through to break the system, they just get filtered out. That's essentially Rails' thing of strong parameters. So it means that require means that you have to take the period key and then all the things under that you have to allow, is it? I can't remember. It's not called allow. Something like that. Permit. You have to permit. I'm going to give just one to start with. And then what you do is so anything that's not under period gets filtered out, and anything under period that isn't this key is gone. So then I can take those strong parameters and safely throw them into active record to create a new record, and hopefully the magic of the string date will happen. And we'll see. And create returns the record or nil if it's not able to make it, like it's not valid for some reason. So what we want to do is we want to send back we want to send back some JSON, which is actually going to be the ID of the record. But we'll just also give a status of success and let's run this test. It passed, which is good. So it created the thing. Now what we want is this. Assert equal body dot success body success but no status success, something like that. Let's do that. Wow, we got actual. Oh no. So equal. Oh no, it goes the other way around. Let's try this as a string. Let's try that. Okay. Oh yes, it passed. So we got that, and then should gracefully fail to create an invalid period. That's what I'm sorry. Gracefully fail to create an invalid period means something like this. Assert no difference when, so I'm saying it's when we get something like that. We don't put a start time in. We should get some JSON, passable JSON something like that. Okay, and that test should fail. Yes, I'm just going to be more consistent here, because we haven't coded that, which is simply an else statement here, and fail. Okay. Expected fail, actual success. Oh, that's interesting. So, that shouldn't work. We've validated the presence of start, right? New.create. Oh, it makes it but doesn't save it. It doesn't return nil. So what we're doing is this. We're doing that if okay, and now let's run the test again, and it passed. Okay, it's going to run all those tests. And I've got all passing, and I'm going to stop right there for now. Okay, bam, it's August. I've got a nice new icon theme, and also it's pretty late at night for me, as you can see. So months have gone past. What's happened is I just did this video to the end of this video, and it took an hour and 15 minutes, and then I realized the recording didn't work because I got Wayland, and anyway. So I committed the code at the end of the video, and what I've done now is I've left the commit, but I've deleted the code that I wrote, and I'm going to write it again. I'm going to live that part of my life again. It should take a bit less than an hour this time through. Let's go. So we have this update one is the last controller action that we're going to implement. So what we're going to do is a test for that. No, before we do that, something I realized in the middle of the last video was that I'm using for the let's get a schema. Oops, yeah. Look, I'm using end as one of the attributes, and that is a reserved word in Ruby, and I shouldn't put it as an attribute in the model. So I'm going to change that now. So Control-G in this IDE means I can generate a migration, and I'm going to rename end to finish. In periods. So there's a way to do that like this. Rename column, table name, periods, and finish. Okay, let's run that migration. This. Check the schema. Yep. Okay, but that's not all, of course. Where did this disappear? Here it is. What I'll do is I'll do a find in path. Look for end. So all these ones on their own are the actual reserved word use, the keyword, and then there's render. That's okay. And I don't have any examples of using that in here. That's nice. Okay, I'll check in the tests. yeah, in the fixtures, and that's it for now as well. Okay. I think that's okay. Now that I have done this refactor, I should run my tests. It's actually nice to have a I just run all the tests to have, there you go, good, a full coverage in the test suite, because then I can do that sort of thing. I can do a refactor, run the tests, and okay, this is like the first time it's ever happened to me, and I'm going to keep it up. So the next thing to do is this test. Okay, should update the end time. So the purpose for the update action is to put in the end time. Okay. That is because when we create create a period of start time, and then that's the active period, the period that we're currently in, and then when we finish we say okay, done, finish, and then it sends an update and it'll put in the end time of that period, and that's what the update should do. It's quite simple. So one thing that we don't have, what we have is that there ought to be either 0 or 1 currently active periods. So we need to have some sort of validation to check that. We need a way to let's put in the period, a way to get the active period. So I'll make that a class method. So go to this. Okay, and the active period is the period that it has no end thing. Okay. So we can use find by finish. Yep. Okay. And this will assume that only one fits the bill. Only one of them is nil. Okay. So this find by thing it returns one every time you use it, assuming there's only one that fits, and that should be the case. But we haven't got that validated. There's only one, so we'll do that as well. But let's just now we haven't got a test for that. Oops. Yeah. Must get active period do so let's put in a active period here. Okay. That'll do. Alright, that's our active period. So we need to so when we do an assert, we put the expected value first, which is this, and then we put in the code we're testing. When is test? Active periods. Save. Okay, there it is. Okay. Let's run that test again. Good. Okay. Now, usually we put in the test, but when we're doing test-driven development, we put the test first, and that's actually a nice reason to get a red, run a test and get it to fail. So you have red and then green, and the reason is because it confirms when it changes from red to green. It confirms that it's actually testing the code that you're writing. It's possible to write a test wrongly such that you don't realize it's not testing the code that you think it's testing, and it might be running green and you think, great, my code's working, and when it's actually not, it's not even testing your code. So that's why I like to get the test to run red when the code it's testing doesn't exist. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this. Also, yeah, let's go with that. This also, when you write these assert tests, it's nice you can write a little message after them to say what's happening. If it fails, what's failed. Couldn't get the active period. So then I hopefully see that. Couldn't get the active period. Expected this period and actually got nothing. Okay. Let's run again. Okay. Great. So now we've got we can get the active period. What we should test, because it's possible that we can get they might not be an active period, in which case this should return nil. Sorry, let's test that. We'll put it in the same test. So I'll just this thing of putting time.now in the tests is probably bad practice. I can imagine people would say don't do it because that changes every time you run the test if you can avoid it. But I'm just going to do it anyway because I don't think it's going to make a difference in these circumstances where I'm using it. And that's just living on the edge. Okay, so now there's no active period, which means we want this to be nil. And if it's not, then we give that message. Okay, let's just check that's still going. Okay. That is actually not testing any particular code I'm writing right now. That's purely testing for regression. So there's no code that I can delete and see it go red. It's going to be green. Okay. Unless we regress. Okay. So now we can get active period. That means periods where we doing this test should update the end time. Okay, so what I'm saying is we want the first want to make sure that we do have an active period here. Yep. So that's just making sure there is an active period in my fixtures, but it's possible that I might change my fixtures in the future, and if I do, this test will stop working. What happens when you try and send an update when there's no active period? Anyway, and then I'll actually give me the message of why. Great. So then we want to do the put. So for updates we're using put. Let me check the roots. Put for updates. So we're going to have the period, and it's just going to put the end, the finish time. Yes. What I'm going to do is make that finish time. Okay. Okay. Because I want to use that again in the assertion, I'm going to assert that the active period, now active because it's now got a finish which is equal to that finish time. Run the test. Okay, looking for this finish time. It's got nothing. Let's write the code. So we find the period. If we found it, we'll do this. Otherwise, we're just going to do nothing. We'll right. Let's just. If we found it, then we want to update it. Let's call it the active period. Okay. Active period. Update with the period params. Period params. I'm going to include the finish param. So if we succeed in updating, then we can render something success finished at active period finish. Okay. This implies we should have some else statements. We'll get to that. Is our test working? Okay, it's not working because this is not the same as this, but they're actually the similar time, but this is UTC. So what we want, this has got a time zone attached to it, and this is like local time. We can make it with a time zone. Let's just do that and see what happens. Okay. This is saying that no visible difference. You should look at the implementation of equality operator on time with zone with members. I think it's saying that time, you don't want to use the equality operator so freely on time with zone, because maybe it's like it can be the same time in different time zones, it can be the same instant, and then it's like, but the clock is different even though it's the same instant and the time zone is different. And so how do you use equality? What you should use is delta. So we'll just check, we'll give it a delta. What we'll do is we'll give it a delta of 0. So delta means check the difference between them is not too much, and that's what we're checking instead of just equality. And the difference has to be 0. Let's try that. Okay, error. Assert in delta. That's what I meant. I love the error messages which say, "Did you mean this?" And when it is, that's exactly what I meant. It's very, very helpful to have that kind of error message. Thank you, Ruby on Rails. Okay, look at this. We've got, it's not quite 0. It's something quite close-ish to 0. Which it's the same time, it's exactly the same. I don't know whether this is a third of a second or a third of a millisecond or something. Let's change the delta to 1. Okay. What about the cases where when there's no when there's no active thing? It should just do nothing when there's no. It should just do. It should return a fail message. Okay. Shouldn't update when there's no active. When there's no active period. Okay. Let's do this. Let's do this. Okay. And then we want to get the body as a fail status. Okay. So let's okay. Let's see if that goes. Good. And then so in the same way that if this doesn't want to update, let's write the test for that. Let's write the test. Come on now. Come on, write the tests. Write the tests. Like that. Okay. Don't need to bother about the count. put okay, and like oops, like that. Finish time. Okay, that's green. Let's just check it goes red when I don't have the code, which is here. Okay, good. So that is the update method. What I wanted to do was check also that the period you can't have more than one active period. Okay, so do that. Again, this test will pass even if the code doesn't work if we don't actually have one active period to start with. We really make sure we must have an active period. Where's my this? Then we need to try to make a new active period. Okay, and then we need to say that. I'm going to give it a little message. I keep forgetting I can put a message in this because I'm not used to using these assert statements. To create one. Okay. Run the test. It would create more than one active period, so let's stop that from happening in the validations here. Now when you use validate with no S, then you give it the name of a method that it calls to do the validation. Traditionally, these methods are quite long names. I guess and they go in the private part of the class. And the way it works is that if it fails the test, then you put puts an error into the object, the active record object, and that indicates that the validation failed. So you just say errors.add, and then you put which attribute you're adding the error to. If it's not on any particular attribute, you put it on the base, which will do in this case. And then you put the message of the error. So we put the error if there's another active period. Like so. So then, let's see this test. Passed. Now, what we should have, when we have a some validation method like this, oops, where we period test. We really need to make sure that we have a test that lets the just checks that a normal valid period is validated properly. It goes through, doesn't trigger any of the validation checks. So just it must be valid. Okay. This one. Cert period valid. Like that. And that actually failed. It must be valid. So maybe the thing we've just put in, so this is exactly why we need to have this test when we're using these things, because I've probably just triggered it as invalid on actually a valid period, because it does. Oh, see, it checks if there's an active one, but only check that if we're dealing with also an active period, if this period is active. We can say whether this period's active or not in the period. Oh, let's do that. Let's do that. Test knows when it is active or not. Assert assert. Active. Active. And assert not. That's interesting that it uses it in the IDE. It looks up the documentation to work out what little thing. The IDE is very clever this way. What hint for me to put is a parameter, and apparently the documentation is not very consistent on whether it uses the abbreviation or not. Anyway, depending on the different methods we're using. Okay, just a little interesting factor there. Okay, check this word. Okay. Okay, I know it's very necessary to have these. I suppose it's kind of makes things easier to read instead of putting this through my code, having nice sort of active keyword there. So it's like Rails way, isn't it? So that means in the control the update here. No. I'm looking in the here. This validation. Okay. Then that should get this one now. Should go through. Great. And I honestly think we're done. Let's run our whole test suite. Oh no. See, we've regressed. See, see. That's why you run the test suites with a coverage. Can regress. What's going on? Expected 4, actual 3, period count didn't change. Yeah, you know why? Because now this is not a valid period. Because we've already got an active period. We're trying to make a new one. Let's run the test suite again. and it works. 11 tests, 19 assertions, all pass. So we're done. Now, so we've got our backend ready to go. Let's just run it on the server. Run development, and so here it's running here. So now we can. So it's right. We can just send a. We're going to go for the index to get an index of periods, and there we have our index of one period. Let's just go in here and just check in the actual period all. Period dot all, and there it is, our one period. Start finish is nil. It's active period. Yeah, there's the start and finish. Okay, created at, updated at. Well, you know what? It seems a bit almost superfluous to have a start and a finish when we also have these two, which is essentially going to be that. Anyway, no, we need the finish, don't we? Because that's null in this case, because that's still active. Well, we could check that that's the same as that, and if it is, then we're active. Anyway, we've got a start and I've got a finish, and they're working. And it's this working. This is it. This is it. We're done. Now I'm just going to commit again, because it looks a bit now. Like I said, I did this section before. I don't want to commit these files, which are the IDE specific things. The first, you can see the difference. I did this part of the video twice. I did some extra if else the second time around, which is nice. You know, some extra stuff over here. These failing cases, which I didn't do the first time around. This one I added, and this one so then I could use it here as well instead of this. Nice, hey. So the first time around, which the video didn't record properly, you can see that that's essentially the same thing. Capital I. And the tests I did similar. Oh look, extra tests. Yeah, so I'm testing these fail cases. Yeah, and that's basically the same. And this one knows when it's active or not, that sort of thing. It's extra. So anyway, there we go. Let's so that's why I'm just committing this. Oh, wait a minute. So we're going to amend this commit. Add the period model and the controller to create, update, and index it. Okay. And okay, we're now done. So that is the back end ready to go. The next video, part 2, will be doing the front end in Angular. If I ever get around to doing that. You could probably guess that, I don't have very much time for this sort of thing. I'm doing it at 1 in the morning, should be sleeping maybe. So there's a possibility in my mind that I might never do the angular front end, which would be very sad. So if you want me to do the angular front end in part 2, then give me some positive feedback on this video, and it'll motivate me to do it. Thank you for watching, and that's goodbye from me for now.